Well, fallout today from explosive new charges reportedly coming from 9/11's so-called 20th hijacker, with Zacarias Moussaoui apparently claiming that Saudi Arabia's royal family were major donors to al-Qaeda. He says he even discussed plans to shoot down Air Force One with a diplomat at the Saudi embassy in Washington. The Saudi embassy says Moussaoui's words have no credibility, calling him, quote, a deranged criminal whose own lawyer presented evidence that he was mentally incompetent. But these latest statements by Moussaoui reigniting questions about the Saudis' alleged terror financing and a particular classified portion of the 9/11 Commission's report. Joining us now on all of this, Jonathan Schanzer, Vice President of Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. So, Jonathan, you worked as part of the U.S. Treasury looking into terror financing. What do you make of Moussaoui's claims?
Well, look, I think it obviously reignites a lot of questions surrounding those 28 pages. It recalls some of the frustration that we have, I think, long felt here in the United States, knowing that the Saudis are historically the #1 financiers of radical causes and perhaps even terrorist charities around the world. And so there are a lot of questions that remain unanswered, and I think Moussaoui's charges have yet again raised that.
Are the Saudis still as active as allegedly they once were?
Well, I think the way that the Treasury would describe it is that the Saudis have cooperated a lot more since the 9/11 attacks. I think they realized that this was not going to work well in their favor. They had to essentially see that there was a problem, and they began to crack down on the problem. The issue, though, here is that perhaps there were tens of billions of dollars that were being funneled to radical causes during the 1990s. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Saudis have cut that by half, which would be significant. The problem here, though, is that it probably still means that we're still looking at tens of billions of dollars that are still flowing to radical causes today.
Wow, billions with a B. I mean, that's big money. The reason why this is coming out now, this testimony by Moussaoui, is for this reason. The families of 9/11 victims have sued or trying to sue the Saudi government for their alleged role in the 9/11 attacks. That case has bounced around the court systems for years, and now it's being allowed to go through when at first it was thought it was going to be dismissed or it wasn't going to be able to be tried. So that's why Zacarias Moussaoui said, hey, I want to testify. I want to be part of this case, and that's why we're hearing about it. What about the timing, though, Jonathan, that this is coming up now? You have a new leader in Saudi Arabia. You also have this crisis with ISIS and questions about funding. What do you make of the timing?
Well, I think the timing is a little bit curious, although, again, I think it's incredibly important that the Saudi section, those 28 pages, do become public. I think it's the right of every American to know. But it's also interesting to note here that the Saudis right now are in a great deal of tension with the United States. They're very, very unhappy with us because of our flirtation with Iran, this continued discussion with the Iranians about their nuclear program and how they may even be able to keep part of that nuclear program. The Saudis have been at the forefront of those challenges. And so one wonders whether this is part of the overall discussion to discredit the Saudis in order to pave the way for an Iranian nuclear program. I think, again, the timing is just a little questionable.
Interesting. Let's talk about those 28 pages as well. This huge report. You have this huge report on 9/11. These 28 pages have never been released to the public. And as written in the New York Times and other sites, they describe these 28 pages as having almost a mythical quality because no one has seen them. Why haven't we seen them, Jonathan? What is the reason behind that?
Well, having not read those pages, I can't tell you directly. However, I can say that the Bush administration and the Obama administration have decided to keep those shrouded from the public eye. Apparently, it reveals at least some depth to the Saudi relationship with al-Qaeda, allegations that perhaps Saudis at a fairly high level were involved in financing al-Qaeda over those years. It's still unclear whether it would tie in the royal family, but certainly important Saudis at a high level.
Interesting. And some say that this testimony from Moussaoui and also perhaps momentum from this case could force those hands in Washington, D.C. that could release these final 28 pages that we would be able to see, or at least these redacted ones. Jonathan, it's great to have you on the program always. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.